All right, hey, this is Wiley Sharp with Dennison Yachting here in the Virgin Islands, and I did a video on the cost of buying a catamaran, cost of depreciation on a catamaran. I wanted to do a quick video on the cost of insuring a catamaran, as well as some of the factors. So I thought the best way to do that would be to sit down for a quick FaceTime chat with Brian Rasmussen at Overseas Insurance. Brian has been in the yachting industry since 1997. He's worked at marinas. He's worked at West Marine. He's worked as a crew on yachts. So he's been all over the Caribbean, all over the East Coast. So he's not your average nerdy pencil pushing insurance agent. So I just wanted to introduce Brian real quickly. Don't know if you want to say hi or want to say hi to everybody real quick.
Well, I might be nerdy, but I've gotten around. So,
So we'll just jump right into it. The first question, Brian, is what is the process for like obtaining and binding insurance for a catamaran?
well, I'll answer that by saying what most people make a mistake in doing is when you start the process, it really starts at quoting. When you first contact an agent or whatever process you go through, you need to be prepared at the very beginning. And what I mean by that is you want to have you really want to have a boating resume down, even if you're very experienced. If you submit that, it can really help your rates. You want to have an idea of where you're going to dock the boat in terms of the actual mooring location. All these things, if you come forward with a ton of information at the very beginning, you're going to have a much better success rate with the insurance.
Okay, so basically what I gathered from that, Brian, is don't just call you and say, "Hey, I'm thinking of buying a 45-foot catamaran. What's it going to cost to insure me?" Actually, put all those answers together, like what type of boat you're looking at, what your experience is, where you plan on boating, and then come to you. That way, you'll get like a much more valuable answer. Or yeah.
Not necessarily, well, not necessarily to me. If any agent you contact, hopefully they know to guide you through that process. It's before we actually go to the underwriters and just say, I mean, you can do like a ballpark thing, but especially if someone has maybe they're lacking a little bit on experience or the boat's older, or if there's a circumstance that's maybe difficult, you can kind of counter that by flooding the underwriters with information. They love information. They want to know what they're getting themselves into. So if you really spell it out to them and let them know, hey, I got a plan. I'm going to be in a hurricane zone, but I do have a great hurricane plan. We're going to prepare it like this. We've got a captain there to look after it if you're not going to be there. All these things you want to just be prepared. And underwriters appreciate seeing that plan that you've thought it out. It'll make a big difference in the rate and who will actually quote you.
Okay, cool. So that makes a lot of sense there. All right, so you start off with the quotation. What's kind of the next step there? That's at the point, I mean, usually by the time you're quoting a boat, somebody's already made an offer on a boat. Is that kind of normally where that starts?
Yeah, most of the time. Most of the time, you're at least in that stage, and then hopefully you get more than one quote to compare. There's a lot of things you want to compare when you're getting quotes in terms of agreed value policy versus actual cash value. Most yacht policies should be agreed value. You want to look at your storm deductibles. You want to look at your primary hull deductible, your liability levels. So you compare your quotes, find one you like, make sure well, I guess the better question is, does this underwriter actually pay claims? I encourage everybody to ask that question to an agent because they'll know which companies are better or worse at paying claims.
Right.
Pick your quote, and then actually the binding process is normally the easiest side because you've already gotten everything into the underwriters by then. You just usually do an application, and barring anything strange coming up that didn't come up at the beginning, it's usually pretty quick.
Okay, and then in terms of like you said, shopping around for different quotes. Now, as an insurance agent, that's what you do for your client. You shop all of the different quotes and rates, or is that something where a prospective catamaran buyer should call you and then also call four other insurance agents? I mean, you'll shop with all the different underwriters, correct?
Yeah, and I'd always encourage people to use an agent versus going to direct. I mean, there's not that many companies actually anymore that'll do direct if you're buying a bigger boat. What I mean by direct is like a Boat US or something like that, simply because when you go through an agent, I have a little more leverage with the companies I write because I write so much business with them that when there is a claim, we're able to work through that a little easier than if you're just going through, like, well, say your car insurance, like Geico. You're one of a million when you're with Geico, but if you have an agent, I write so many policies that they have a little more incentive to work with me. So um,
That makes sense. Just out of curiosity, just offhand, how much in policies, in terms of like replacement value or anything do you write in a given year?
I'm sorry, ask the question in terms of the price of the policy or generally.
Like, I mean, like, sorry, I'm just fooling with my phone. They're trying to also record this with my phone. Um, I mean, you said that one of the value, one of the things is since you write so many policies with the insurance companies, you have a lot more leverage when it comes to claims and whatnot. I'm just curious. I mean, how many policies value wise, and it doesn't really matter, but like just ballpark, do you think you've written or have out there at any given time?
I'm not sure about haul value wise. I probably write on average 10 policies a month.
Okay,
So
so pretty significant.
yeah, we do quite a few, and that's and then I have our office writes even more. That's just me personally. So our office writes more than that. So like I said, the underwriters have a they have we have money in the game. They're going to want to work with us. So
Exactly. Okay, cool. We kind of I kind of got sidetracked there, but all right, cool. The next question is, what is kind of like the ballpark rate for insuring a catamaran? Obviously, there's a lot of different factors based on experience, size of the boat, where you're going to keep the boat. But like, what is the ballpark for an insurance, like for an annual premium?
to kind of give an idea, I generally tell people um, if everything is good, and I want to say this is based more like say Florida. If the boat's gonna be more than Florida, you're looking at probably around a 1% rate. And what that means is if the haul value is $500,000, it's about $5,000 a year for insurance. It's going to go up higher if you're going to be in the Caribbean during hurricane season. It's going to be lower if you're somewhere like New Hampshire during hurricane season because the risk is a lot lower. Um, like I said, factors like your experience will change it. Factors, if the boat's over 15 years old, it may make it a little higher. Generally, you're never going to see higher than say 2% of the hull value, unless it's just not a great deal. Or if the boat's going to stay in the Caribbean and charter, if it's under a million, because once you hit actually a million in hull value, it actually the percentages can drop. Because I've seen them go down to almost 0.6% of the hull value if it's up around $1 million or over in hull value. So, but I'd say, I mean, your average catamaran's what, half a million probably?
Yeah,
Half a million,
like
$600,000?
250 to 750 is kind of where the majority of them fall under.
Yeah. And they usually, I mean, I know a lot of them are in the Caribbean. So, I mean, Caribbean rates are generally about 1% to 1.5%. Not charter. I mean, if you're chartered, probably more 1.5% range.
So
Um,
if you're out there shopping for a catamaran in the Caribbean, or maybe just really anywhere in the Caribbean or North America, if you for budgetary like standpoint factor in, it's going to be between 1.25% and 1.5%. You'll more than likely come in under budget.
Yeah, I mean, if you're experienced, if you've operated catamarans before, or and this, like I said, is where your resume comes in.
Right.
Haven't owned it, but if you've done a ton of charter, and you want to log all that, and you want to put that to underwriters first, so they get a good feeling about your experience with them. That's really the experience makes a big difference in who's going to write it, um, and then if you get more than one quote, you can kind of start to use it against the other underwriters, and you can get your rates down. But generally speaking, 1.5% should be a good quote, a good number.
Okay. Cool. That's perfect. And then I guess while we're on that topic, and I didn't put this in the list to prepare you for, but I know you already know the answer. So if you're looking at anywhere from 1 to 1.5 in a premium, what do you normally look at in a deductible for something like named storm or a lightning strike versus a grounding? I mean, what for deductibles? What are you kind of looking at?
Well, normally a newer boat should always be a 1% hull deductible, generally speaking. I mean, if a client wants to go up to 2%, I mean, it really normally doesn't change on a newer boat. It doesn't really change the premium that much. So you're better off stick with a 1% hull deductible. Named storm deductible really changes by carrier and the hull value, but most of the time if the boat's going to stay in the Caribbean, you're probably going to be with one of the Lloyd's of London carriers, which there's many, many Lloyd's of London carriers. And usually their rate is somewhere around 5% named storm deductible. I've seen them as low as 4 to 3%, but usually it's about 5% of
Okay.
the.
And then the 1% deductible. I mean, that would be like for a grounding, lightning strike, any of those, any collision with another boat, um, that sort of thing.
Well, everything but lightning strike. Normally they have a separate lightning strike deductible, which is sometimes the same as the windstorm deductible.
Okay.
Or sometimes it'll just be double the hull deductible. It really depends on the carrier. But most of them, because the underwriters they don't like lightning claims because they tend to go on forever.
Right.
They have a higher deductible for lightning. But that's about the only one. It's just lightning and wind are usually the only two separate deductibles.
Okay, cool. That's good, man. So what do you do? I mean, we're kind of dealing with this right now with the boat buyer. We won't use their names on video. But what do you do what should somebody do if they have very little experience to no experience and they want to buy a catamaran? I mean, what's, from an insurance standpoint, their best course of action?
Um, well, like the clients you're talking about, we just document any experience they do have. If they've been doing courses, uh, and and kind of lay out a roadmap to the underwriters at the beginning of how you're going to become experienced. I'm going to hire a captain. They're going to train us, and honestly, you just need to be realistic about the whole thing. I mean, if you have never sailed a boat before in your life and you're going to buy a 40-foot sailing catamaran, there's a major learning curve there. I mean, I crewed for over 10 years, and I mean, I know what it takes. You don't really know what you don't know until you get out in rough seas, and then
Right.
you really realize what you don't know. So you just need to learn. But if you roadmap with the underwriters how you're going to become prepared, they're either going to do two things. They're either going to say, okay, well, for this year, you're going to require not to have a full-time captain, but to have a training captain whenever the boat goes out. Or if they see that you do have some experience, you've chartered, they may say, okay, we want 40 hours signed off by a captain, and then they'll approve you to operate.
Okay, so if you have like limited to no experience with most of the underwriters, as long as they see kind of a pathway on how you're going to earn that experience, they like it. So things like ASA courses, the insurance,
Yeah.
like hiring a training captain, even if you've purchased the boat already, hiring a captain to help train you on your boat, they like seeing that. Chartering and having somebody else sign off on your charter time. Those are all things that if you have limited to no experience, if you do, the insurance companies will look favorably upon you.
It's the only way you're going to get, you really want to document everything you've ever done. I mean, it sounds stupid, and some people say, well, I never owned a boat, and I start questioning further, and like, well, I had a 20-footer, years ago. That you had experience. I mean, don't undersell it. I mean, it is experience. You've been on a boat, and underwriters do view that as experience, as opposed to never having touched a boat. You really want to lay out everything you've done, and it's like building a resume for a job. I mean, you're honest, but you want to make it. You want to show people. You're trying to prove to them who you are and what you know. So I would do the same thing with your boating resume. Just everything you've done, document.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I think the way that you put it is look at it as the way you would do a resume for a job. I think that's some really, really sound advice. Um, cool. And then another question is, and I get this question all the time. I'm sure you do. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. Can you keep your boat in the hurricane zone during hurricane season?
Yes, but you're going to pay for it. And there's three different zones. Um, the first one would be south of Cape Hatteras. So if you're north of Cape Hatteras during hurricane season, it's the best rates you're going to get. If you're south of Cape Hatteras, you enter kind of another area in terms of the price. And then once you get south of Florida Georgia border, Cumberland Island, I think it's 31 degrees. That's your next price point, of being more expensive. And then actually, I'm sorry, then there's the other one, which is once you get south of basically Turks and Caicos. That's like the hot. I mean, if you look at it, sometimes they call it the box. It's like right now, if you look at a map of where all the storms start and roll through, that's your highest, most expensive area. But you can be insured there. You're just going to pay for it,
And
and
then,
you want to
like,
plan.
and then the lower Caribbean, if you go south, like Grenada, Trinidad, ABCs, that also is considered like out of the hot zone there. Then is
Yeah, no, yeah, you're correct. Yeah, I can't remember the exact. I think it's maybe just 12 degrees sound right somewhere down there. It's once you get further south, you actually get outside of what they consider the box, being the danger zone.
which this year with the hurricane season, I mean,
Not a good example.
it's been completely jacked up with Trinity,
Yeah,
and then now with Harvey going through St. Lucia and whatnot. So
yeah, that never happens. And honestly, people always ask me, like with Hurricane Sandy, well, why aren't rates up in New England? Because they take insurance companies don't take a one-off incident and change their policies. I mean, they take it off of statistical data for a long period of time. So they're not going to change next year just because we had a hot season down there. So it's pretty consistent.
cool. Well, do you think I mean, we covered a couple of topics. I'm sure people are going to have comments they're going to leave down below. Do you have anything else that you think people would, add that people would find of value?
Well, kind of along the same thing with laying out your plan is I deal a lot with absentee owner scenarios,
Oh, that's
meaning
a good one. Yeah.
you're going to buy a boat and you live in Ohio and it's going to stay in the Caribbean. You've got to have a plan for that. I mean, insurance companies obviously don't want to back your investment if there's nobody looking after a boat. I mean, working at a marina, I can tell you, if a boat sits for 6 months without anybody touching it, and you've probably seen this as well. I mean, they turn real fast. So you got to have a management company, a captain, and you can't just, sorry, a lot of people will say, well, the dock master is going to look after my boat, or the crew, the marina's looking after it. That's not an acceptable answer. They're going to look at, sorry, they're going to look after a lot of boats. So you need to
Right.
have either a management company or a captain assigned to watch your boat.
Okay, and then for like in that case, like with absentee owners, I mean, I see it. So with capped like with absentee owners, I mean, I see it all the time down here. Boats that sit for months and months, and they do have that attitude of, oh, we'll let the dock master check on it. If you're an absentee owner, do you need to have something written into your like not like into some kind of plan, I guess, for lack of better words, saying, okay, since I'm only on the boat X amount when I'm not there, I've got Captain ABC looking after it. I mean, is that something they want the documentation? Or is it one of those things that if you have a claim at the dock, they're going to say, okay, provide documentation that you've had somebody performing guardianage on it?
It's both. I mean, it depends on the company. Most of the companies just trust you that you're being honest, and then, like you said, if there's a claim, they're going to find out if you weren't honest. Um, but it really benefits you. I mean, if you're going to spend this much money on a boat, I mean, it's not. I mean, it costs money, but it's not expensive in terms of the loss of value to hire a management company. I mean, the amount of money they save you in just keeping the value of your boat up, it's. I could see a boat losing quite a bit of value quickly if someone's not watching
Oh
it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you and I both have seen that over the years in the business. I mean, they go quickly without constant, somebody constantly checking in on them. And what I always kind of tell my clients is, and I'm sure as an insurance guy you would agree, it's always fine with insurance when you're skirting um, the boundary. It's all fine until it's not fine, and basically it's like the insurance company's not looking for you not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But if something does go wrong, like you're running dive charters off of a boat that's not insured for diving, and all of a sudden there's a diving death on the boat, the
You're
insurance
in trouble.
come after you. I mean, or if you're in the South Pacific sailing and the coverage zone and your policy is the Caribbean, they're going to look at that and say, thanks for playing, but maybe next time.
Well, I mean, you're in breach of your contract. I mean, the one scenario we deal with the most probably, and this is, most Lloyd's of London policies are what's called named operator policies. Almost all of them that I know of. And so that being said, what I mean by named operator is anybody who touches the wheel of the vessel has got to be prior approved by underwriters. Um, and so you just a basic resume. I mean, sometimes you can just do an email with a list of boats they've operated and no claims, no that kind of thing. But they have to be listed. If they are not, and this happens, this is the one thing I feel like people maybe inadvertently breach all the time because they just don't think about it. They forget. They need the boat moved quickly, and they just have a guy at the dock move it. And then, I've gotten around that with underwriters because they'll come back and this is a lot of begging, but they'll come back and say, well, would you have approved that captain if they'd had the time to have him approved? So that happens a lot. But people got to realize if it's a named operator policy, everybody who touches the wheel has got to be approved prior by insurance.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
Unless it's an emergency. If there's fire in the marina and someone jumps on there to move the boat to protect it from that fire, they're not going to have a
no,
problem.
yeah, the insurance company is going to be happy that somebody's helping them. I mean, yesterday I just got back from Puerto Rico, and there was a boat at Puerto del Rey that some folks sent me a photo of, and they towed the boat out of the marina as well as moved another boats at the marina to prevent the fire from spreading. And yeah, I think any underwriter would be quite happy.
It's actually normally in the policy that if there's an emergency, you can do what's required to protect the vessel from loss, to mitigate any damage. So.
That makes sense. Well, I think that's good, Brian, for today. I know we're gonna have lots of questions, either in email or in the comments section. So, at some point in time, I love to do a follow up with some of those questions. I'm gonna leave your contact details in the description below, as well as a link to Brian's profile page on. Sorry, my computer screen just shut off for a second. His profile page. Yeah, so this is a new format video. I'm going to be doing a couple of these with a couple of different areas in the yachting industry. And so I look forward to hearing from the feedback as I make these videos for y'all. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. Shoot me an email. And as always, if you like what I have to say, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks and have a good day.
Thanks, Wiley.
All right, thanks, Brian.